very good morning to you and welcome to today's edition of Breakfast News. You're with me, Nicola De Zoiza. As usual, let's start off with a look at your headlines. Shortage of glucose strips to measure blood sugar levels in the body of government hospitals. Police grants approval to recruit labourers to remove illegal election propaganda material. Death toll in Egypt, violence rises to 278. First off, in local news, patients at government hospitals are being inconvenienced owing to a shortage in glucose strips to measure blood sugar in the body. These patients point out that they are left with the alternative of having to purchase these strips for money and bring them into the hospitals.
Hospital sources at the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital, the Colombo National Hospital as well as most other hospitals stated that the glucose strips are not available at these hospitals. President of the Government Medical Officers Association, Dr. Aniruddha Padania, speaking in Newsfirst, said that the Health Ministry does not possess a proper mechanism on providing these glucose strips, which are used in measuring blood sugar levels in the body. The blood sample is taken from the veins. Those patients who take insulin can use these glucose strips at home to check their blood sugar. These strips are provided free of charge by certain companies. Otherwise, we will have to incur funds on this. These strips calculate the capillary blood glucose, not the blood sugar in veins. We need a policy for the calculation of blood sugar. As we don't have this, patients are affected.
When we made inquiries from the Director of the Medical Supplies Unit, Dr. Kamal Jayasinghe, regarding this, he pointed out that necessary measures have already been taken to order the said glucose strips. In other local news, a public rally by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party was held in Bingiria yesterday.
In the history of Sri Lankan politics, which party did the most amount of work to develop the rural villages? Without a doubt, you can all say that it is the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Taking this development forward is your responsibility. You would have seen the recent Ratapaswala incident where certain factions acted to put the government into discomfort. Then there was a Grand Pass incident where the president mediated and resolved the issue peacefully. Even before these incidents, America would say that there needs to be basic fundamental rights. Europe says the same thing. What is America doing in Afghanistan that they don't want to talk about?
Meanwhile, the police has received the approval of the Elections Secretariat to recruit labourers to remove illegal election propaganda material from the areas in which the Provincial Council elections are scheduled to be held.
Police media spokesperson SP Buddhika Sirivardhana said that a sum of 9 million rupees has been allocated for this purpose. He added that the approval has been received to recruit 4 labourers for a headquarters police station, 3 labourers for a police station located in the town areas and 2 labourers for a small police station. 150 million rupees alone has been allocated for the police department with regard to the upcoming elections in the 3 provincial councils. The election secretariat says that these funds were allocated upon the request of the IGP.
Let's now take a look at today's exchange rates. First off, in news overseas, according to Al Jazeera, the current current death toll in Egypt has reached 278 after security forces stormed protest sites in Cairo and clashed with supporters of deposed President Mohamed Morsi elsewhere in the country. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said yesterday that United States strongly condemns Egypt's violence and calls for the state of emergency to end as soon as possible and urges all sides to seek a political solution.
These events are deplorable.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, in no uncertain terms, condemned the violence in Egypt that made Wednesday the bloodiest day there in decades.
Violence is simply not a solution in Egypt or anywhere else. Violence will not create a roadmap for Egypt's future.
The violence began in Cairo when security forces stormed Islamist protesters, supporters of deposed President Mohamed Morsi, who had been camped out for weeks. The clashes spread to other cities, Alexandria, Ismailia, Suez, and elsewhere. Government sources report over 200 people were wounded and well over 200 killed, although the opposition Muslim Brotherhood believes the death toll is much higher. The violence threatens to polarize Egypt even further following its 2011 revolution, but Kerry says he's convinced the path to political dialogue remains open.
The final outcome of that revolution is not yet decided. It will be shaped in the hours ahead, in the days ahead. It will be shaped by the decisions which all of Egypt's political leaders make now and in these days ahead.
What does lie ahead is emergency law, which the military-backed government announced on Wednesday, as well as nighttime curfews for at least a month, it said, or until further notice.
Stay with News First as we bring you more on the developments on the ongoing violence in Egypt. First off, in sports news, Pakistan cricketer Mohammad Asif has apologized for his involvement in a 2010 betting scandal after publicly accepting his guilt for the first time.
Asif was jailed in 2011 and banned for 7 years. He was suspended for bowling deliberate no balls for money during a test against England at Lord's. The 30-year-old fast bowler failed to have the ban overturned in June. Asif said, quote, "I admit what I did was wrong, and I am ashamed for bringing disgrace to my family and my country. I apologize to the nation and the Pakistan Cricket Board. I feel sorry for what has happened. I deserve the punishment I got," unquote. Asif and teammate and former captain Salman Butt were jailed after being found guilty by a British criminal court of conspiracy to cheat and conspiracy to accept corrupt payments. A third teammate, fellow paceman Mohammad Amir, admitted the charges before the trial and was also jailed. All three were also given bans from playing by the International Cricket Council. Asif served half of his 12-month sentence and was released in May 2012. Asif, who took 106 wickets in 23 tests before his career came to a halt, is the last of the three to admit his guilt and says he now wants to work with the ICC and the Pakistan Cricket Board to fight corruption in the game.
In other sports news, Manchester United manager David Moyes says that it bodes well for the club that Wayne Rooney played three-quarter of the England's 3-2 win over Scotland but refused to put a date upon the striker's return to the team.
Rooney, who wants to leave Old Trafford for Chelsea, has been limited to 45 minutes in a behind-closed-doors friendly against Real Betis this pre-season because of hamstring and shoulder injuries. But although he was not selected for United's 2-0 Community Shield win over Wigan, England manager Roy Hodgson revealed the striker had been fit for several days beforehand. Rooney then played 67 minutes at Wembley on Wednesday night before being replaced by Manchester City midfielder James Milner. However, United manager Moyes did not say whether Rooney will feature United's opening Premier League game at Swansea on Saturday. Moyes has been adamant he will not sell Rooney, and United have rejected 2 bids from Jose Mourinho for the former Everton forward.
Well, that's all the news for now. I'm Nicola D'Zoiza for News First. Join us again at 8:55 on Live at 55 for the very latest. Till then, have a pleasant day.